Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Transforming Relationships, Part 9 of this amazing series with Dr. Lieberman. And following this lecture will be the great Rabbi David Goldwasser, renowned speaker and author and Rav. It's a great honor to have Dr. Lieberman and Rabbi Goldwasser. Thank everyone for submitting questions. We're actually going to start off tonight with one of the questions that was submitted as a follow-up from a previous class. Everyone continue submitting questions and feedback to events at chazaq.org, events@chazaq.org. Just one programming note. We know that Dr. Lieberman, we could tune in every Saturday night and went to Shabbos, but also we're gonna be honored on Tisha B'Av Day itself. We're gonna be having 25 different speakers speaking on Tisha B'Av Day itself, and the previous night, Tisha B'Av night, we're having Charlie Rari at 10:15. So Dr. Lieberman's gonna be speaking. You can tune in at 11 a.m. to hear from the great Dr. Lieberman. Without no further ado, let's get started. In a previous class, or maybe probably a few of them, I would say, we were talking about self-esteem. I think last time we talked about how if you have low self-esteem, you grew up with low self-esteem, how you can increase that, how you can build a healthy self-esteem. So someone submitted a question. They were saying that just in so obviously it's a process. We have to build our self-esteem, but let's say like in reality right now, in the situation it is right now, as individuals, as interacting with people, as couples coexisting with each other, how can we coexist, how can we thrive, and even though like right now at this moment we have varying levels of self-esteem. So what's the best way to go about that?
Wow, that's a very thoughtful question. So, self-esteem refers to the degree to which a person loves themselves and feels worthy of good things in life. End of the day, we all walk around, as we said last time, with the exception of, I'm sure, a couple of tzaddikim, who we all walk around with some, dents to our self-esteem. Ultimately, the way we build self-esteem is through the quality of our choices, meaning that as I say this in a lot of talks on Tony Time, if the whole paradigm, we have a body, ego, and soul. Body wants to do what feels good, ego wants to do what looks good, and our soul and our neshama wants to do what truly is good. They all battle it out. The more a person gives into their ego, gives into the Yetzer Hara, or overindulges in the body, eats in excess sleep, excess entertainment, all of those things chip away at our self-esteem or self-respect. So you can't give self-esteem to somebody else. As wonderful as it would be to be able to do that, now with children, it's a little bit different. We get into that because by children, self-esteem and confidence are interwoven. By adults, they're completely separate. But the degree to which we make better quality choices is the degree to which we infuse ourselves with a greater sense of self-esteem. So when I make a choice that is beneath my madrega, beneath my spiritual level, I feel shame. Shame is a self-correcting mechanism that Hashem created. It's our neshama to wake us up, reminding us that we've done something that is beneath us. The idea of shame is to go ahead and to make us feel the pain of our behavior because it moved us away from our potential and away from Hashem, and then to do tshuva and move forward. But if we're not willing to accept responsibility and we recuse ourselves of obligations and responsibilities and we lay blame somewhere else, it's going to injure our self-esteem. So the Maisa is, if you want to give yourself a quick jolt of self-esteem, the very best thing you can do is to begin to make better quality choices. You mentioned on the Tisha B'Av, when we were speaking about how to, sort of erase the stain of shame and transform those relationships where maybe there's a conflict, a feud, or estrangement. So whatever baggage we're walking around to, we're able to sort of release. But ultimately, on a day-to-day basis, the way to move forward with greater self-esteem is to do tshuva where we've fallen down and begin to move forward responsibly, not beat ourselves up with guilt, not wrap ourselves up in the blanket of shame and self-pity, but rather to accept responsibility. And the minute, Robbie, we accept responsibility in a pocket of our lives that we've been neglectful of, it could be emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, whatever it is, wherever we take control and take responsibility, we will inject ourselves with a greater sense of self-esteem. And the idea is to build on that, because the more we love ourselves, the more you're going to invest in yourself. The more you invest in yourself, the more you can love yourself. But when a person grows up behind the 8 ball and they have low self-esteem, it's very, very difficult without a protocol in place to just sort of make better choices. Because if I don't love me, why would I want to invest in me? So, you know, it behooves us, not just for our own emotional health, but for the quality of relationships, to begin to turn that around, to begin to invest in ourselves in a positive way, build our self-esteem, and in doing so, improve our relationships. I hope you're paying attention. This is all going to be on the final.
So I'm saying, so obviously I'm saying, so you're saying that we have to build our own self-esteem. So let's just say that let's say like ourselves, let's say we have a higher level of self-esteem, and then let's say like a friend or a spouse, etc. They don't have that. So I guess so what do we do? I'm saying, do we have to build that in them? What do we do?
Very good. So it's like this. A question that people ask a lot is, let's say that we have a friend. Now, we love ourselves. We've got great self-esteem. We're amazing. We're whole. But not everyone is like us, right? You know, some people are walking around not feeling so great. They didn't have amazing childhoods like we did. Yeah. So what are we to do? So when you want to help somebody to get out of a rut, let's say, you try moving that person and they're like a rock. You just can't do it. One of the best things you can do for somebody that's in that low place is to let them know just how much you love them and how much you care about them, how much you respect them. And when you accept this person unconditionally, whomever it is, that person will begin to feel that they are worth something. And when they feel they are worth something, that's when they're going to begin to make better choices. But you can't give someone self-esteem. What you can do is allow through that connection where they feel that, you know what, you're investing all this time, your money, energy, resources to loving this person. At some point, if that love is really unconditional, even though it may not feel like it or may not seem like it, it's going to seep in. It's going to seep in, and at some point, this person will say, wow, maybe there's some value to me. And at that point, they can begin to sort of just move their lives forward in a healthier way. But you'll never be able to give somebody to rebuke, or to get them to be more whole and healthy simply by feeding their ego. It has to come from a genuine connection, a genuine love, a genuine caring. And then when that is complete and unconditional, and I want to tell you, I've seen, some of the most hardened, difficult, challenged kids, I say kids, meaning young people, teenagers, even adults, when somebody has that unconditional acceptance, not approval, unconditional acceptance, where they're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter what this person says or does, how much they push them away, they're not budging. At some point, they're going to stop pushing and they'll say, wow, okay, I really am loved. I really am worth something. And that's when you can move the person.
That sounds great. I think you addressed the question. I guess we'll just jump off of self-esteem. I guess maybe a jump off of that question would be about that everybody wants to be inspired. They want to be uplifted so they can do great things in the world. But sometimes we're just not feeling it. We're down. Like how do we get that inspiration?
That's what Charlie Harari's for. Right? Listen to Charlie. He'll help you move mountains. Look, you know what? Sometimes people say, motivation, it wears off. But it's true. So does eating. So does sleeping. And those things come in very handy. So, to constantly give ourselves chazaq and, look, motivation won't get you from point A to point B, but it'll help to get you excited about moving. And I'll share with you one fantastic technique that I give over when I do a lot of corporate work. And that is that if you think about, Robbie, the choices that you make, the decisions that you make are very often based on your state, meaning how are you feeling at the moment? So if you're in sort of a blah blah state, you're going to make a blah choice. If you're in an energized, sort of motivated, high energy state, you're going to make maybe a more assertive, maybe a more a greater step, maybe a more ambitious step. You're going to do something that is quite different. So rather than try to reorient your thinking, sometimes people say, I want to be more successful. I want to take that leap. You can't change your thoughts without changing your emotional state, and meaning the physiology. So really, rather than sitting, you're never going to make a good decision by sitting slumped over like this, saying, I want to move my life forward. I wish I could do. It doesn't work. You really, literally, one of the best things you can do is to move your body, physiologically speaking. There's a whole field called embodied cognition that speaks to the integration and the symbiotic relationship between our emotional state and our physiology. So when you are in a more sort of like a power pose, you're taking up more space, you're feeling physically bigger, meaning you're more expansive, you're going to make more assertive, more maybe even aggressive, but you're going to take more responsible risk and chances. But when you're in sort of a closed physiology and you're feeling, and you're sort of like hunched over physically and you are withdrawn into yourself, your choices are going to follow. So if you want to sort of snap yourself out of that, just spend a few minutes sort of re-energizing the physiology, and you're going to see in a different emotional state, you're going to be thinking differently. And if you think differently, you're going to be making different choices.
So yeah, that's what I was gonna ask as a follow up about that. Fine. So let's just say you get. I'm saying, as we know, like sometimes, as we know, even specifically now during time periods, like you get a short clip. You hear it and inspirational talk like we're doing right now. So like how do you take that to the next level? So you're saying that. So like
good. So you're saying good. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Forgive me.
Yeah, so I'm saying like how do you like, so you were saying that one method is you have to physically, you have to move, you have to do things. You can't just sit there and just say, okay, now everything's gonna change in your life. Like you have to do actions and stuff.
That's right. And that really, by the way, is you're touching on a secret. When inspiration strikes, when a person feels inspired, that is their neshama sort of just being shaken with the ego out of the way. But the most valuable thing you can do is to capitalize on the moment. The mistake that people make is they become inspired and then they go take a nap or they'll go have a sandwich. They go, wow, you know what? I really feel like I can do this. Let me go ahead and just take a walk, take a nap, or take a break, and I'll come back to it. And then you're like, why was I so excited about that? The reason is it wore off is because you need to create a kli, a physical vessel here in this world, when that feeling of inspiration, when your neshama sort of gets the message. So if you don't take action here, it will dissipate. The best thing you can do is when you become inspired is to take an action. It doesn't have to be a huge step. It doesn't have to be everything. It has to be one concrete step in the right direction, and you'll sort of help to build a physical vessel, a place that can hold that enthusiasm, that inspiration. And then when you build it, you'll get another wave and another wave and another wave. But if you don't take action, if you simply just stop and don't move, that inspiration will dissipate. You have to capitalize on the moment. And as the familiar aphorism says, strike while the iron is hot.
So you're saying that we have to make it into, would you call it a routine, a ritual that now you're gonna implement every day or every week or monthly or something that's gonna take effect?
That's right. And the Ramchal talks about the importance of, alacrity. Zeresis is moving when you feel that inspiration is to move. Don't think that it's going to last forever. The reason why, again, it dissipates is because you don't take action in the physical world. You have to take sort of some step. And if you get in the habit of feeling inspired, moving, you're going to go far. You're going to go very far. But again, it begins with taking an action. And once again, don't think it has to be huge. It can be a small, quantifiable step that allows for you to sort of capture that inspiration.
So I guess going off on the thing about taking that step. So I guess that let's say like people, they don't have clarity, like where am I going? Like they don't have how does I guess it's a bigger topic, but like how do you see like a goal? Like you have to write it down, you have to think about it. What do you have to think about it every day?
Yeah.
How do you what's goals? Like how does that relate to inspiration and these rituals?
Excellent. So there's a lot to unpack there, but in broad strokes, as someone once said, if you can't hit a target that you don't see, and you certainly cannot hit a goal that you don't have. So if you don't know where you're going, as the saying goes, any road will get you there. You have to be very clear about what you want. The brain doesn't work on generalities, it works on specifics. You need what's called a mission statement. You want to be very clear what you want to accomplish, when you want to accomplish it, how you want to accomplish it. Deadlines are very, very critical. As you know, I wrote a book called How Free Will Works, and there's a whole section about how to take the hero, that gift of free will, and maximize it. And one of the steps in that is to be able to not just set objectives, but to have deadlines, because human beings, human nature is what it is, and we will not, you know what it's like? It's like, you know, when Shabbos comes in late during the summer and short during the winter, you know, you've got an extra couple of hours in the summer. Somehow we're not sitting around drinking iced tea, flipping through Hamadiyah magazine 2 hours before Shkia. We're running to the last minute, because there's something called Parkinson's Law, which basically says tasks expand or contract depending on how much time we allot for it. Lamaisa, bottom line is that you need to give yourself a goal as well as a deadline, what you want to accomplish when, and then the brain will go ahead and create a path in order for you to get where you want, in order to hit the goal within a time frame. But if you don't have a time frame, we've just seen it time and again, and the research is clear, and from life experience is clear. You know what? If you have forever to finish something, it never gets done. But put a fire under yourself, have a real concrete deadline, you're going to move. So the world runs on expiration dates, coupons of expiration dates, you know, tax returns of expiration dates. You have to be able to give yourself a deadline, or things will slip on forever.
Okay, so you're saying that we have to. You're saying that we have to have. You have to obviously have. You have a map. You have to know the destination, and you also have to know. Okay, you have to get there by a certain time. You have to certain even like you're saying like. Would you say that even let's say like mini like this is the weekly I got to do by the end of this week or whatever. It's not only just like in my lifetime or whatever.
That's right. And because I'll talk about dividing the goal into small doable segments so that you can feel a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction as you move along. But also, you know, it's interesting. There's a whole Kabbalistic underpinning to time frames. And one of the things, there's a lot to flesh out there, but one of them is you don't make your to-do list in the morning. In the morning is a time for action, a time for conquering, the time for expansion. The worst time to make your to-do list is when that energy of the world is for going out and conquering. At night, when the energy is towards constriction and towards being reflective and meditative, that's the time you'll find that putting your list together, what you want to do the next day, the night before, is infinitely more effective than waking up in the morning with a to-do list and beginning to write it out, because you've just got the wrong energies for each one.
Okay, well, some great practical tips. I think we'll stop here for tonight. I think we learned a lot about what is inspiration and what is it not, I guess, and how to go about you had inspiration and relating to goals and destination. Okay, great. So thank you, Dr. Lieberman, as usual, for always inspiring us, and we will see you next week. And please, everyone, submit. Everyone, please submit your questions to events@chazaq.org. Any questions which will be addressed in a future class. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Lieberman.